Hello and welcome back to another video from the Automotive Freak. Today we are at the 2023 edition of the Singapore Motorshow, and in this video I will try to cover as many highlights as possible. The Hyundai Ioniq 5 is now available in Singapore with two main choices. Your first choice is to go with the parallel imported version, which will be assembled in South Korea. This one right here is assembled in Singapore and distributed by Singapore Motorshow. For the ones assembled in Singapore, other than the commemorative number plate, there are also a few first 100 emblems that can be seen throughout the car. Battery sizes ranges between 58 kWh and 77 kWh. The 58 kWh model is only available with rear-wheel drive, while the 77 kWh is available with all-wheel drive.
The 58 kWh version is only available with single motor rear-wheel drive, and it produces 143 brake horsepower and 350 Nm of torque, fitting it in the Cat A COE. The car accelerates to 100 km per hour in 9.5 seconds and has a drive range of 384 km. The 77 kWh model is then available with single motor rear-wheel drive with the most range, or dual motor all-wheel drive with the best performance. The rear-wheel drive variant is able to achieve up to 507 km on a single charge and also makes 225 horsepower and 350 Nm of torque, setting the car to 100 km per hour in about 7.5 seconds. If you want more performance in your electric family crossover, then consider the dual motor version with 302 horsepower and 605 Nm of torque. The car sprints to 100 km per hour in 5.2 seconds, while the estimated driving range on a full charge is 454 km.
Both 58 and 77 kWh versions charge at a maximum rate of 350 kilowatts. It takes 30 minutes to fully charge this car. The vehicle-to-load function also allows you to power items such as electronic devices or kitchen appliances, which might come in handy. Exterior styling-wise, the Ioniq 5 has always been one of my favorites since its launch. You get this very retro yet futuristic style with the pixels in the headlights. This car's relatively boxy front-end design makes it different compared to other electric cars from other manufacturers. The side profile looks just as good in my opinion, with angular lines running across the side, and up top you have the panoramic sunroof. In the pictures, this car might look small, but with the short front and rear overhangs, the wheelbase is actually long. Round back, the retro yet futuristic look continues with the spoiler up top. The full width tail lights are also made out of pixels that run across full width. And moving down below, you get a really smooth and clean rear design. On the electric tailgate, and you get 527 liters worth of trunk space, which is really generous. The materials used in this car is just so lovely. Everything that you touches feels premium and sustainable. The back seat of this car is so spacious. As you can see, there are generous amounts of legroom and headroom. You can also move the seat forwards and backwards, and the seat does also recline. Overall, I think this is a really good all-round car with decent performance, a lot of space, and a really awesome design. Suzuki's booth at the 2023 version of the Singapore Motorshow is really colourful. As you can see, there is the red Swift over there, the yellow Swift over here, the blue Ignis over there, and the green Jimny right at the back. The car makes 127 brake horsepower and 235 Nm of torque from its 1.4-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a mild hybrid system. Paired with a 6-speed manual transmission and a front-wheel drive system, the car accelerates to 100 km per hour in 9.1 seconds and has a clean fuel consumption figure of 21.7 km per litre. The LED projector beam headlight, the carbon fiber effect over here and on the bottom of the lip spoiler makes the overall front end look really fierce and sharp. 17-inch dual-tone alloy wheels and the carbon fiber effect on the side skirts give the car a really sporty vibe. Round back of the car, the lip spoiler, carbon fiber effect on the lower part of the rear bumper, and the dual-tip exhaust gives the car a really sporty vibe, as well as the center rear fog light. Open the rear hatch and you get 265 liters worth of cargo space. As you can see, the opening is really wide and it's in a square shape, so it makes loading things in easy. At the back seat of the Swift Sport, the legroom is actually quite decent and the seats are really comfortable. The sporty vibes of the Swift Sport continues in the interior. As you can see, there are red accents in the tachometer, on the front dashboard, as well as the center console. The Swift Sport is also available with a manual transmission, which is something that's hard to find nowadays. Controls in this car are very simple and easy to use, and the sport seats are really comfortable, soft, and hug my body well. Despite this car having some materials that look and feel cheap, I still really like this car as it is affordable and fun to drive. Suzuki's small off-roader is the Jimny. Let's take a closer look at the Jimny. The car makes 110 horsepower and 130 Nm of torque from the 1.5-litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. The 4-speed automatic transmission helps the car achieve 14.4 km per litre. Being an off-roader, the suspension setup consists of semi-rigid axles up front and rear. The whole front feature of the Suzuki Jimny looks really cute. As you can see, there are the circular LED headlights, and the Suzuki nameplate is actually spelled across the grille. The whole front bumper is finished in matte black plastic, which does give it a rather rugged look. The side profile of the Suzuki Jimny looks really boxy. As you can see, it does look like some other competitors like the Jeep Wrangler, Mercedes G-Class and Land Rover Defender. In front, you'll see the flat out front wheel arches and the 15-inch silver alloy wheels. At the time of recording, the Jimny is only available as a 3-door body style, but a 5-door version is set to arrive soon. On the back of the Suzuki Jimny, the boxy and to open the rear hatch, the door opens sideways. It does give you a lot of cargo space, but you can fold down the rear seats. Being an off-roader, the Jimny also gets a full-size spare tire and the back plastic rear bumper to finish it off. At the launch of the 5th generation Subaru WRX, this car received plenty of criticism and controversy for its looks, but personally, I really like the rugged looks of this car. Let's start up front where I think this car just looks great. As with all Subaru WRX models, you get this hood scoop up here, and down here you get the really sleek looking LED projector beam headlights. Front and center, you'll see this hexagonal center front grille, and at the corners will be the LED front fog lights. You also will see the STI black front splitter. Side profile of the WRX is where the controversy begins, with the black plastic claddings on the wheel arches and some plastic bits along the side, but personally I really don't mind the look on this car. The rear end looks alright to me, but I understand all the controversial opinions. I think the rear looks great, especially with the LED taillight design, which is so distinctive. All these plastic claddings at the bottom of the bumper, however, doesn't look as appealing to most people, and that includes me. As important as the exterior is, the interior is just as important, so let's take a look inside. I often say that Subaru always nails it with the interior design, and the 5th generation WRX is no exception. The tachometer gauge is all the way to the left, and the speedometer gauge is all the way to the right, with a small digital display front and center. Your main infotainment system would be this 11.6-inch vertical screen, and the layout for all the buttons and controls are really good. The materials doesn't look cheap either, and I must say the large infotainment screen does create a more premium and upscale look in the interior. In terms of space, the first and second row seats are actually quite spacious and family friendly if you are planning to get a fun family car. The seats also support my body well with bolsters on the side and a relatively comfortable seat cushioning.
Open the trunk and you get 320 liters of boot space, which is a decent amount. And the trunk opening is also quite big and large, which makes loading things in easy. It's not just about the looks and feel, because performance is just as important in a car like this. This car's 270 brake horsepower and 350 Nm of torque comes from a turbocharged dual overhead cam, 2.4 litre 16 valve 4-cylinder boxer engine. Paired with a CVT transmission and Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive system, the car accelerates to 100 km per hour in 6 seconds, and you can expect this car to have a starting price of around $247,000. In summary, I really like this car even more than before now that I have seen it in person and sat in this. In my opinion, the power is adequate and the appearance is rugged but contentious. This is essentially the wagon version of the sedan and is largely based on the WRX sedan with a few changes done to the exterior and interior. Under the bonnet of this car, you get the same 270 horsepower and 350 Nm of torque from the turbocharged FA24 2.4-litre 4-cylinder boxer engine. The wagon is only paired to the CVT and has the same symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which accelerates the car to 100 km/h in 6.1 seconds.
Design up front is very similar. The LED projector beam headlights remain unchanged for the wagon version, but there are more carbon fiber trimmings around the front lip and bumper. The side profile is where the differences start. The obvious key difference is a different body style, and the plastic claddings on the wheel arches are now painted in body color. Round back, the boot lip spoiler still adds a little sporty look, and the C-shaped taillights looks better than the ones on the WRX sedan in my opinion. Moving down the rear tailgate and into the bumper, you get a really tasteful rear diffuser design and the dual-tip exhaust outlets instead of the quad tips on the sedan. Front cabin is almost identical with the same 11.6-inch infotainment system and is well built for overall interior quality, with the difference being the leather seats coming standard for the wagon, while the sedan gets Alcantara seats with red stitching. The red stitching on the seat does create a sportier feeling in the interior. The rear seats in this car is slightly more spacious. I get a bit more headroom but quite a lot of total legroom. Personally, I prefer the Alcantara seats, but it's not really a big factor when it comes to deciding between the two. Overall, I think this is an awesome performance family car, but the only drawback is the price. Starting at over $250,000, it's really a tough sell for the Subaru WRX wagon. At the time of filming, the Subaru Solterra is not yet available for sale in Singapore, but it is on display at the 2023 edition of the Singapore Motorshow. All Subaru Solterra models comes with all-wheel drive and a 72.8 kWh battery as standard. The dual motor setup pushes out 215 brake horsepower and about 338 Nm of torque, which is enough to launch the car to 100 km/h in about 6.7 seconds. The maximum charging rate is 100 kW, and the range on a full charge is estimated to be around 357 km to 367 km. In terms of safety, eyesight driver assist also comes standard. Up front, there will be multiple LED projector beam headlights and a master front grille to make the front vision look really clean. Down here, you do get the setting chrome front speaker. Just like the WRX and Outback models, you do have a lot of black plastic claddings on the wheel arches up front here. And you do get an EV badge because this is an electric vehicle. Gloss black mirror caps are standard on this display unit, and you do get a panoramic sunroof up top. Moving to the rear, some more plastic claddings on the wheel arches, and round back there are a lot of black gloss black accents on both the tail lights and the side. Open the rear tailgate and you get 452 liters worth of trunk space. Underneath the first floor will be some space for your charging cables and other loose items. In the interior of the Subaru Solterra, it is futuristic yet sustainable. On the passenger area of the dashboard, you do find some fabric finishing, and there is a large infotainment system display. Center console is finished in gloss black, which does attract some fingerprint, and the center armrest is finished in a really soft brown leather. Also in the center console, you can find that there is some storage here, along with a 12-volt power outlet and a USB-C outlet. The front cabin of this car feels really solid and well built. The pedal shifters on the steering wheel are used to control the regenerative braking, as this is an electric vehicle. The back seats of the Subaru Solterra is really spacious. I get tons of legroom and a decent amount of headroom.
Overall, I think the Subaru Solterra is a really serious contender in the electric car market, with a very good looking design both interior and exterior.
Powering the Subaru Outback is the 2.5-litre dual-overhead cam, naturally aspirated 16-valve, horizontally opposed 4-cylinder engine that makes 170 brake horsepower and a claimed 0 to 100 time of 9.6 seconds. As with all Subaru models, you get the linear-tronic CVT transmission paired with the symmetrical all-wheel drive and the all-wheel independent suspension. It consists of McPherson struts up front and a rear double wishbone. Open the rear tailgate and you get 532 liters worth of cargo space with the back seats.
The car is only for display at the 2023 Singapore Motorshow and will not be for sale, at least for now. Generally, I think that the adventurous, rugged, and bold design that continues throughout the exterior of the car really suits it. In fact, some people have been modifying this to go on off-road trails. If you are looking for a lifestyle car, the Outback is worth your consideration, but the drawback is the unavailability to buy in Singapore. So maybe the Forester or XV might be your next choice.
This is one of the best looking new cars on sale right now. This is the Nissan Ariya. And this car just looks amazingly beautiful. And I really love the exterior design. I hope I'll still be able to film this in the future because there are no specs given for the local market version. But judging from the exterior and interior, this is a serious contender in the EV market.
Specs might differ, but other markets receive a 238 brake horsepower single front motor with about 300 Nm of torque. Of course, there are other battery size choices, but this one right here is the front motor version. It takes 14 minutes to charge this car from 10 to 90% battery state of charge and has a range of 465 km on a single charge. 0 to 100 km per hour takes about 7.5 seconds, and the suspension setup consists of McPherson struts up front and multi-link out back. I can't wait for the official specs for the local market version to be out, and I might film another video with this car.
The Skoda Enyaq is Skoda's attempt at an electric vehicle. The key feature is that the front grille can be illuminated. Also, the gloss black surrounds the front grille, giving it a rather sporty look. The LED projector beam headlights gives the car a rather premium look. Around side of this car, you get 20-inch wheels on the front and back. You get gloss black on the mirror caps. And the coupe shape of this car gives it a really sporty vibe.
Round back, the coupe shape of the car is further pronounced, along with black letterings to give the car the sportier look. Open the electric tailgate and you get 570 liters of boot space, which is really big but still 50 liters smaller than the non-coupe version, and underneath the fourth floor will be storage for charging cables and other loose items. Since the closing time is in a few minutes, I need to stop the video here, but I really want to finish filming this car, perhaps in the future. But for now, I'm going to wrap up the 2023 edition of the Singapore Motor Show. Thanks for watching.